So this is a short video on my sleep system. This is just for simple camping outside, lightweight, relatively lightweight, but as comfortable as possible. I sleep under a shelter like this. This is a poncho, an army style poncho. I use this as my top. Okay. I have a survival bag, which is a very, very long bag, heavy duty, which you can use to float your backpack across the river. I've done this in the Transkei wild coast in southern Africa. Swum across a lot of rivers with my pack in this. You can use it for protection against rain. Let's say you're sleeping outside and it suddenly starts raining. You can quickly slip into it with your sleeping bag and keep dry. The only problem is your perspiration will condense on the inside eventually and wet you anyway. So you need to just use it temporarily for that purpose. It can keep you warm, certainly if it's a very windy night. And you could convert this into a raincoat. You could also use it as a kind of solar still bag, although it's not transparent. You could use it to collect water at the very least. So there are a lot of reasons for this. I use this kind of as a ground sheet. Okay, and that's why I've got this with my sleep pack. Once I put the ground sheet down, I put this survival blanket down, the space blanket, to keep myself warm. So it's quite heavy duty as well, and it can be used as a top. You can see it has eyes, and it's pretty big. So I put that down as well for protection from the cold. Okay. Typically, I'd have a sleeping pad as well. I usually use a foam sleeping pad, and I cut it shorter to save on space and weight. And that's what I'd lie on. Then I have a mosquito net. This is actually a double bed-sized mosquito net. I use this for protecting myself obviously against the insects, but also against snakes. It's a good barrier against snakes that might want to come in and cuddle up with you at night. In a lot of areas, believe me, you want to have this around. Then I have this mountain survival shelter. It's a very, very large shelter, and I use this more in snow conditions. It's quite a big shelter, and you can use it to shelter people, about 10 to 12 people at a time, as an emergency shelter if inclement weather comes in. It's quite a handy piece of equipment, and I'll do a video about this a bit later. But I carry this along for group safety and also as a snow protection barrier. I've camped in -8 degrees centigrade snow conditions with this, and it was just fine. Okay. Then I have a whole lot of pegs. These do weigh a bit. You can obviously use wooden stumps or things as pegs, or tie rocks to your shelter as pegs. But I like to have these around. These I actually got from an abandoned tent. It was a totally destroyed tent. It was of no use at all. It was lying sort of in the mud in a park in North America, woodlot rather, in North America. And so I decided to salvage these pegs, and I use them quite a lot now. A few other things I carry with me sometimes are stones, brown stones, or acorns. These are much lighter, of course, and the reason why I use these is they make a very, very good, they make it easy to actually tie a string onto your top if you don't have an eye hole or anything. So what you do is you'll take your string and you'll make a clove hitch, which is done like that. You just kind of slip it over and put it all tight, and then you've got a good attachment to your top, and that'll keep it steady and sturdy, and it's not going to come loose, and you're not going to tear your top. So it's a pretty useful thing. And people will say, well, why carry stones? You can find stones anywhere. Well, the truth of the matter is there's certain parts of the world where there are no stones, believe it or not. If you go to Botswana, it's got the deepest sand in the world, in the Kalahari Desert. It's supposedly 1,000 feet deep, something ridiculous like that, and there are no stones. So you do need to sometimes carry stones with you. Okay, so that's my basic setup. I have a lot of cordage as well, which I take with. I usually use either parachute cord, which is this, or spectra cord, and that's my basic setup for sleeping sort of lightweight.